All right, thanks for coming, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So my name's Amirrezvani. I'm the president and CEO of DealerOn. DealerOn is a dealer website company and digital marketing agency that caters specifically to the automotive industry. Wanted to take a moment just to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to speak here today. Today we're going to be speaking about advanced SEO. We're going to look at some hardcore SEO strategies for advanced dealers. So real quick, just wanted to take a quick poll of the audience, just kind of find out what your overall SEO experience level is. So if you're new to SEO, can you raise your hand? Okay, a couple people. How about in the middle of the road? Okay. Okay. And then any advanced people, any ninjas? All right, couple. All right, perfect. So I've done my real best to kind of include just the most important information. There really was a ton of data that I really wanted to cover in this presentation. So that being said, I'm going to apologize in advance if I'm going too quickly, just because there's 46 slides, which is way more than you really should try and jam into a 50-minute session. So if you have any questions about anything, feel free to email me or give me a call. I have no problem spending time with you if, again, anything's over your head or I don't spend enough time on it. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So key takeaways, learnings. We're going to be talking about, what has changed with Google over the past couple of years. We'll look at, what are some of the impacts of the PANDA, Penguin, Venice updates. We're going to look at what are some of the things that we definitely want to avoid due to these updates. We're going to spend some time focusing on, where Google is going and how we can expect Google to change over time. And then finally, we're going to focus on what are some of the things that we should be doing now based on how, SEO has really changed over the past couple of years. And then finally, we're going to look at a bunch of different tools that you can use to manage and monitor your overall SEO success. So Google keeps changing, and the pace at which Google continues to change keeps accelerating. Since February 2011, there have been actually a total of 25 different PANDA updates. There have been a bunch of different Penguin updates, Venice updates, Google 10-pack, 7-pack, site search, Google+. I mean, the list is mind-boggling. By the time we're done speaking here today, there'll probably be a couple more updates. Literally, I think in the past year, there have been over 500 different updates to Google's overall algorithm. That being said, with all these changes and everything going on and kind of these mixed signals that we get from, website vendors like ourselves to SEO companies to social media companies, how does a dealer keep up with all these changes? And really, who is the dealer to trust? The truth is, there really is not a simple answer to that question. And going forward, you really, really do need to be a lot more careful on who you trust your SEO strategy to. In my recommendation, I really feel that every dealership really should have someone in-house that is responsible and manages and monitors the dealership's SEO success. And I know that's going to be difficult for some of us to have the additional resources for it, but I can promise you, if you get someone that really understands SEO, that really understands social, that really understands how the industry is evolving, SEO is evolving, it will be a game changer for your dealership. SEO is no longer about, just simple changes to your website, adjusting your title tags and, your URL structure and things of that nature. It's about creating quality content that wows people, that wows them enough to get them to share it. And that's the one theme today that if you take away from this, it will really make a difference if you try and focus on creating quality content. That's really what is, changing. So when thinking about what will work or won't work on Google, it's important to remember what Google's main goal and mission is. Back in 1998, Ben Gomes said that for their users, their main goal is to get them their answers faster and faster. And what Google does continues to really hold fast to this one main principle. And you can see it in how they continue to change their algorithm, all these different things. At the end of the day, their one main party that they want to satisfy is the end user. A lot of people think it's the end user, and also it's their own pocketbook, and then it's also the advertiser and the publisher, and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, everything is going to be based on that end user, getting them that data as quickly as possible, and that's how it's going to continue to change. So you're going to see Google's going to continue to take over more of the parts of search that typically in the past they used to have other sites providing that data, and that will continue to evolve, kind of like Google Cars and things of that nature. And they're going to continue to do stuff like this because, again, it holds true to this one main principle. If you kind of understand how Google has changed over the past couple of years, it will make it easier for you to understand how they will continue to evolve and change. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard of PANDA. and Penguin and all that, but I think it's really important that we touch on these real quick. So again, back in February 2011, Google released a major update to their algorithm that we later found out was called PANDA. And again, probably most people in this room have heard of PANDA, but most people really don't understand what the real impact of PANDA was or why it's so important to really understand. And PANDA was actually created by the Google engineer Navneet Panda. What Panda did was he created a machine learning system that allows Google to rank sites higher that their actual human quality raters like more, and rank sites lower that their human quality raters like less. So it was this human input that really made Panda so unique from what Google's done in the past. And essentially what they did is they had all these testers go to thousands of different websites out there, and they evaluated them based on a bunch of different characteristics. So they would look at the trustworthiness of the site. They would look at the design, the overall layout. Did it have a bunch of ads all over the place? Were they able to complete the types of tasks that they felt they should on these websites? And they took all this data, incorporated into the rankings algorithm so that in the future, Google would be able to make predictions on how other people would like similar sites, similar sites with similar characteristics to all those that they evaluated. So that's one of the big things about Panda. And again, it was broken down into kind of three main categories. So there's design and user experience, content quality, which is a really big one, and then website usage metrics. So we'll touch on this a little bit further on the presentation, but now Google is actually looking at the actual human interactions on your website, and those, what they do on your site actually will affect how well you rank. And that's something that most people aren't aware of as well. So another aspect of Panda that made it so unique was that before the update, when they made changes to their algorithm, those changes would only affect the one page or the series of pages that the poor SEO or infraction was on. After this update, now because of the Panda update, the update actually impacts your entire website. So if you have a bunch of useless pages on your site that have content that, again, the Panda update has an issue with, it's not just those individual pages that are going to rank poorly, it's actually going to cause the entire website to rank less. So the reason that I bring this up again is that there's some providers in our space that have created different strategies in the past or whatever that are just content that really doesn't make sense. It's not benefiting your end user, it's not quality content, it's database driven, and it's usually content that you have many different versions of. Things like city pages or sold vehicle pages, which sold vehicle pages can be, there's a right way to do them and a wrong way to do them. But you want to avoid that database-driven content because, again, if you get usually that content, if you look at it, not only is it not performing, it's not doing much for you, but it also typically has a high bounce rate, which again is one of those things that the Google update is looking at with those website usage metrics, which can actually negatively impact your SEO. So again, touching on that, one of the worst things that can happen is something called SEO Pogo-Sticking. And basically what that is when a user conducts a search, let's say one of these useless pages is ranking for you. And they see your listing in Google here, they click on it, they come to your website, and let's say this is a home page here, but let's say they landed on whatever, one of these pages of content. And again, the quality of the content isn't there, it's brought them to a particular page. Most users are going to just bounce. They're going to go back to Google, they're going to conduct a whole new search, and what does this tell Google? That this particular keyword that you just ranked for has a pretty high bounce rate of people coming to your site and they go elsewhere. And that's basically what they're doing, so that's going to end up negatively impacting your ranking. So a strategy for us going forward would be, let's evaluate your top entrance pages on your website. Let's look at the bounce rate, let's look at all these details so that we can make adjustments based on this data. But again, pretty simple thing to do when you go back is, do I have a bunch of pages like resource pages, which then I have 50 different versions of the same page and the city's different. It's one thing if you have vehicles on your site where most of the content is the same because Google realized you sell cars. But when you have useless content there with mostly the same content, just slight changes because you want to rank for that particular city, those are types of things that you're going to get nailed for. All right, so let's touch on Penguin. So just as most of you have probably heard of Panda, most of you have probably also heard of Penguin. Penguin is an update that was created to specifically go after and punish webmasters that have taken part in black hat tactics. So what we're going to find, and you'll see over the next couple of slides, that most people who have not taken part in these black hat tactics have had a big advantage over some that have, due to some of the things that the Penguin update was after. So last year I attended a SES conference in San Francisco and got to sit in a conversation with Matt Cutts, where he provided some clarity on what are some of the types of black hat tactics that the Penguin update really goes after. And for those who don't know, he's the head of the web spam team. So this is the guy directly responsible for the Penguin update, the PANDA update. And recently he gave an address that was regarding PANDA, that there's not going to be any more. They had their 25th and last major update to PANDA. They're going to continue to evolve PANDA over time. So if you haven't necessarily been affected by it much yet, it is still possible that they're going to continue to make things a little bit more stringent and start to go after some of the lower traffic sites. But it's not going to be a big update. And he also released another update regarding Penguin, that Penguin has had three major updates so far. And he just released that there's going to be a huge update coming. He didn't give the date, but for anyone who has purchased links in the past or has worked for someone to do link building, be careful, because there's a big update coming, and he's saying it's going to be probably the biggest ever. So that's one thing that if you've been involved in any sort of shady link building tactics, you may want to log into Webmaster Tools, look at the links, and use their disavow function, which allows you to see all the different people that are linking to you in Webmaster Tools and actually say, these people, I did not, I don't know who they are, I have no relationship with them, please remove them. So let's talk about Penguin here. So some of the things that he had talked about was that doorway pages, spammy links, and keyword stuffing were some of the main things that the Penguin update was after. And spammy links is just what we were talking about that you may want to disavow, but we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth in a second here. So what are doorway pages? So doorway pages are typically thin content sites that focus on one particular keyword or keyword phrase. And essentially, the thing about these sites are that they're small microsites with very little content, but when someone lands on those pages, in order to get to the bulk of the content that they were really interested in getting to, they actually have to click a link and navigate to a whole new site. So this doesn't create the best user experience, and it violates Google's goal and mission of, again, getting someone their answer as quickly as possible. They have to jump around, jump through hoops to actually get to their content, and it's really only been created to rank well for a particular keyword term and kind of game Google, essentially. So again, the reason I bring this up is because there's companies in our space who've created strategies like this in the past, and there's a lot of dealers out there that have these exact doorway pages. This is something you want to be very careful of. Some of you have definitely already got nailed for them. Some of you have not. It's something that, any of these recommendations that I'm making, I'm not saying to go back and automatically change it, but you want to go back and do some evaluations, because these doorway pages can cause the site that you're actually linking to also rank poorly. So you need to be careful of that. But the one thing that you should do is go back, evaluate, do I have what would be technically called a doorway page? And if so, if it's ranking really well, then this is where you've got some work to do. Because if it's ranking well, you don't want it to go away. You want to continue to maintain that traffic. But take the necessary steps to make some changes to it so that it would not any longer be classified as a doorway page. Add the end result there. Add more content. Do things of that nature. But don't leave it as is, because eventually it will catch up to you. And then also, if it's not ranking very well, then just 301 redirect those pages to one of your other sites and just be done with it. So spammy links. So one of the most important ranking factors in Google's algorithm, and it's been this way for 10 years and it's going to continue this way for many to come, is what's called off-site SEO. So off-site SEO is essentially things that you can do on third-party websites, so not your own, that will allow you to actually increase the ranking of your own website. Okay, so examples of this would be building authoritative links from third-party sites. So in Google's eyes, if there's a bunch of third-party sites out there that are linking to you because either they have some sort of relationship with you or because you have such amazing content that they were wowed by it, that they wanted to share that content, so they link to you, then in Google's eyes, you must too also be an authoritative site, and this is one of those reasons why you're going to rank better. So being that it is one of the most important ranking factors, and it will continue to be, it's also one of the most frequently abused by spammers. So webmasters are always trying to figure out new ways to build links, but, and it's important to do that, but again, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Anything you do in this realm, you need to be very careful of what you're doing here, because this is one of the things, again, that you can get nailed for. There's a big update coming like we just talked about. But when building links, what you want to do is make it look natural. Google doesn't want anyone going out there building technically links. They want people to earn links. Earning is the new thing. It's link earning. You only earn links because you have great content or relationships that are out there. Building them is trying to artificially manufacture them. So if you are going to do that, which again I would recommend doing it, but do it the right way, is you want to make it look very organic. Don't build a ton of links in a short period of time. There's something called anchor text, which this would be an example of anchor text. So it's basically the keyword that's part of the link. That tells Google that this site that I'm linking to has something to do with payday loan. And in this example, this would be a spammy version because you got content about getting fit and something about a payday loan in the middle of that content. It's not even relevant, so this would be a prime example. But it does tell Google, when you do this in the right context, that this site is about whatever this keyword is. So the more, if you go out there and you want to rank well, I want to rank well for car dealer websites. If I have a ton of sites that are linking to me with car dealer websites, then that's going to help me rank better for that particular keyword term. But again, if it's happening naturally, then you're going to have car dealer websites as a keyword, you have dealer websites, dealership websites, auto dealer websites. It's obvious to Google when they're all the same keyword because it's obvious you're the one that's manufacturing these things. So you want it to be different. You don't want to get links from spammy sites. You also don't want to generate the same type of inbound link. So there's probably about 10 different types of inbound links you can generate, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Try and mix that up as well. And definitely stay away from, again, the spammy sites or non-related sites. Having a few links from some non-related sites is not a big deal, but if a lot of your links are coming in from non-related sites, that would be another thing that you definitely want to avoid. All right, so keyword stuffing. This is something that's pretty important as well. Even to this day, if you look at probably 85% of dealer websites, even 85% of my sites, we're doing keyword stuffing. We just need to be a little bit careful of it. Again, with a lot of these updates, they're rolling updates, they change over time. They go after some of the larger traffic sites first. So just because you haven't got hit hard for it doesn't mean you won't, but this is something you want to be careful of. Keyword stuffing is essentially when content is written on a website that it's written in an unnatural fashion or it's repetitive and you're just stuffing keywords in there to essentially rank for them. That's what it is. So again, the bottom part of a lot of our home pages, a lot of people go as far as even hiding the content. You have to click on a link for it to appear. That is directly against Google's guidelines. Don't do that. People use div layers, so you have to scroll and you only see a little bit of it. That's also probably not an accepted practice. If you're going to do that, make sure the div layer or the window is pretty big so you see a bunch of the content before you have to scroll. My personal opinion is have some of that content, maybe scale it back a little bit now because eventually it can catch up with you. Maybe go back and, again, this is not one thing that I recommend going to completely change because one of the reasons why we're ranking so well right now is because you have that content there, you have those keywords, but maybe ease up off the gas a little bit. Go back, adjust the content a little bit. Don't make it so blatantly obvious that you're doing keyword stuffing like this paragraph here. This is ridiculous. And this, believe it or not, actually came from a dealership website. So this is what keyword stuffing is, and this is what we really want to avoid. All right, so Venice, real quick. Venice is kind of a below-the-radar update to Google's algorithm. Essentially, it wasn't designed to punish anyone, but it did raise the rankings of some dealers, and hence it has to lower the rankings of others. But it was an update that really what it was designed to do was to identify local intent. So any keyword that actually had local intent is really what it went after. And for dealers, it's great because everything we sell and service is local. So for the most part for us, it really helped us and actually enabled us to generate a lot more traffic from Google. So here's just a quick example. Searching for Acura Dealers 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, this update, this particular keyword search, all it would have resulted in is maybe Acura.com and some third-party provider sites. But now, due to the Venice update, again, they're identifying that when someone searches for Acura Dealers, they're actually searching for Acura Dealers in a particular area, even though you haven't included city or state. And now you're going to see all dealers pretty much show up with that keyword term. So that's really all the Venice update was about. So to recap, we've talked about Panda, Penguin, and Venice and how they've really, again, they've changed the game of SEO. It's no longer about just the minor optimizations that we make. Again, it's about quality content. It's creating a remarkable user experience. That's what the new SEO is about. We're now SEO strategists, not just SEOs. And that's an important concept to take away from here and trying to figure out a way within your dealership to be able to create those types of experience. I know it's a lot easier said than done, but that's kind of the new game. We've also learned that things like over-optimization, keyword stuffing, spammy links, doorway pages, these sort of things don't work on Google anymore. And if you are doing them, especially if you're paying a third party to do them, you are literally playing with fire because God knows they're not being as careful as they could be or should be, and it's one of those things that you can totally get nailed for. So now we've talked about all the things that don't work on Google anymore. Let's talk about some of the things that we should focus on. So this is an SEO expert by the name of David Mim. He has recently taken on a job at SEO Moz. He has been conducting a study for many years on local search of the top ranking factors, and it's one of the studies in our space that has a ton of clout that we take really seriously, and he breaks down all these different ranking factors, so we're going to review some of those. But he breaks them down into 4 main categories. So Google+, off-site factors, website content, and reviews, and we're going to touch on these. So from here on out, I've included a couple slides in here that is really more of a resource for you to review after the fact. There's also an addendum at the end of the presentation with a bunch of additional links. So if you're interested in this, I'm not going to go through all these right here, but these are the top ranking factors, and then broken down by the type. And we're going to review some of these in the next coming slides, but I'm not going to go through all these one at a time here. All right, so let's touch on plus page factors. So Google Places really needs to be, you need to start thinking about this as your secondary website and one of your more important secondary websites. If you really optimize your Places pages properly and you're in a somewhat metro area, you can generate about 30 to 40% of your total traffic from Google Places if it's being done properly. Furthermore, in the near future, as mobile usage continues to rise, it's probably going to become the primary way people get to your website. If you do a search for your dealership using your brand name, you're on your handheld device, the first thing that's going to come up is a listing that is basically from Google Places. And almost everything that you click is going to take you to your Places page other than one link there that says website. So people are going to be seeing it. So your reviews are going to be front and center in their face. Sometime in within the next year probably, most dealers will surpass the 50% mark on mobile traffic exceeding desktop visitors. I just did a study the other day based on 10 of my top performing Toyota dealers, and they were showing between 32 to 36% handheld and 10 to 12% tablet traffic. I mean, almost to 50%. So that being said, everything really needs to be, we need to be thinking mobile now. Forget about desktop. It's the old dinosaur. All of our innovation needs to go into the handheld devices. But anyway, real quick about the plus page, Places pages, some of the things that you need to be doing here. One of the things that it's mind-boggling to me is how many times I log into one of our dealers' accounts and there's just tons of mistakes everywhere. And starting with proper category associations. If you want to rank for Nissan dealer needs to be one of your categories. And I can't tell you how many times I log in and they don't even have the one most important category selected. So you have 5 categories to choose from. Do not use any of their custom categories. Select the ones that they have. That's really important. There was recently an update done, so any new account with Google Places actually has 10 categories, and they've done away with custom categories altogether. So even if you're using them now with your older account, just get rid of them because they're probably not helping you much. Have a local area code in your Places page. It will help identify where you are. Don't use an 800 number. You really don't even need the 800 tracking for there, but if you do, the tracking phone number, there are companies out there that will provide you a local number that also has phone tracking, so get one of those. Things like having your product or service keyword in your business title will help you, but if it's actually not part of your business title, do not put it in there because it has to be correct. You will get nailed for spamming there. Your reviews, the content of the reviews actually will help your page rank better. The number of reviews will help your page rank better. These are all different signals that tell Google your authority, that build their trust in you. So link building, all these things that are done, social signals, all these things are telling Google how reputable you are out there. So if you don't have a solid reputation management strategy in place, it's an important thing and it's going to continue to become more and more important, and it is already part of the algorithm. So definitely spend some time in it. One secret that I'll give you that, I've got a lot of dealers that are trying to rank for a particular metro, but due to their location, which location does play a role in how well you rank for your Places page, that they're trying to rank, but they're just 10 miles too far outside and they can't get in there and they've done everything. One of the things that you can do, the same way that you can build links to your dealership website to improve its ranking, you can actually build links to your places page from third-party sites to increase its authority and its ranking. So that's something that most people are not aware of. And it's a great strategy to get in there. All right, real quick, let's touch on citations. Citations are essentially what's called the NAP, name, address, phone number. Any website out there that contains your name, your address, and your phone number is considered a citation. They do not actually have to link to you. If they do link to you, fantastic, but here are some examples of different sites that most of these actually do link to you, but anyone that, again, has name, address, and phone number can be a citation. There's about 60 different sites out there that are pretty reputable that you should have a citation from. What's really important is that they're consistent from one site to the next. So you always insert the same information. This is some of the source data that Google uses, again, to establish that you are who you say you are, you're located where you say you're located, and you do what you say you do. So again, this is one strategy I would highly recommend. It's not expensive. You can do it manually if you want to. Probably an even better way is to use a tool called Yext that will, you have one login, you enter all your information, it automatically feeds out to these different sites. I think it costs like $400 or $500 a year. Yext, I've got it in the presentation a little bit later, so we'll talk about it a little bit more in depth. But something you should do, everyone should look into that.
Regarding the citation, specifically about phone numbers, you were talking about using local phone numbers on the plus page. I think there's an understanding that you have to have a consistency with your phone contacts. If your OEM site is forcing you to use a track 800 or 877 or what have you number, and you're using a local number for your plus page, you start to get that disconnect or that inconsistency in phone contacts.
Right, you can get a local tracking number. Is the one thing I'd say is just have that everywhere.
Which would we rather reference?
Well, one of the things that you could do for the citations, again, these sites are sites that who cares if you got a phone call in from that. You don't need to track it because you can't increase your advertising to any of these sites anyway. In that context, it doesn't matter. So use that local number. All you need is that same local number across the board. And even if you have an 800 number on your site, put a local number somewhere there too. It doesn't have to be the most prominent place, but just make sure it's on the site as well.
To the extent that a lot of dealers are using a lot of tracking numbers on a lot of different sites. So, I mean, is that going off what it's saying? We should use the same tracking number for all these sites?
Again, for the main citations that are out there, these are not sites that really matter that much. These are the ones that they're going to use for the source data. That one I'd have the same number on. All the other sites that you're talking about, those are ones that I would continue to use a different tracking number. I mean, at the end of the day, it's important that you're established as it being consistent. So offsite factors, we talked about a little bit before, that there's many different types of inbound links that we can generate. And some of them are things like going to blogs and writing writing content there that actually links to you. So it's having an actual post written on that blog, or writing comments on that blog, or going to a forum and having content written there. Again, with any of these strategies, what you want to do is do a little bit of each. Not just focus on doing blog comments, which is kind of seen as spam if you do too much of it. There's different types of things that you can do. Interviews, you can do article submissions, you can do press releases. There are, again, some of these directory submissions, donations, giveaways, a bunch of different types, and these are all great things to do. One of the things that I always recommend to my customers is, if you're taking part in any sort of charitable organization, or if you are doing any community involvement type work, these are fantastic places to generate links. Also, if you could focus on generating links from local businesses, this is also a great thing. If you're spending money with any vendor, they should be willing to cough up a link. These are people you could contact, threaten to cancel, do whatever you got to do, but get links from those businesses, because a lot of times people you're spending money with are authoritative sites that have high page rank, and these are going to actually benefit you the most. So that is a great way to do it. All right, so real quick, I want to just touch on, kind of some of the more advanced SEO things that are content-driven, that you can get content and easy ways to get some stuff on your website. So again, this would be first things first. You want to kind of get the basic stuff out of the way, get the structure of the site right, your titles, your descriptions, your meta tags, your keywords, your internal linking structure, so on and so forth. Once that's done and out of the way, then we want to have a content strategy. And these are just things that we recommend to our dealers, and it's a great way to get additional content on your website that's not database-driven, that's going to be different. Starting out with an integrated blog. This is huge. If you have an integrated blog, and what I mean by that is yourdomain.com/ something like blog, not blog dot, which is a subdomain or on a separate domain. The benefit is that It's content that's being added to your site on a consistent basis. Google loves human-generated content. It's vastly different than that it sees on your site. And it's not just the individual posts that end up ranking well. Because you become seen as an authority all of a sudden, it causes the entire website to rank better. So having a blog on your website is huge, and we're going to talk about rel author in a minute, which is another way to really even get that content to rank even better and kind of get you established as even a content authority even more so. Customer reviews. Again, we're spending a lot of time generating these reviews, and one of the things that we recommend is get some of these reviews on your website. And I know this is a picture of DealerRater. This would not actually work, so it doesn't really make sense being there, but DealerRater is going to be having that content that's actually going to be framed in on your site. So it's not doing you any good because it's not hosted on your site, it's actually hosted on their site. But get some of the reviews that are being generated to actually be posted on your site. So it's not duplicate content, it's got good data in it, it's got location-based data in it.
Have you seen any OEMs allowing that?
DealerRater?
No, allowing customer reviews to be posted to dealership sites.
I've got it on a ton of our sites, so maybe there's some that don't, but I'm not aware of.
Are you creating a static page, or you're physically working with someone like Bizarre Voice and running ratings on your site?
Static pages on the sites. All right, so reviews would be a great way of getting some additional content on your website. Custom pages. So one of the great strategies that you can deploy, if you're trying to rank for some of your money keyword terms, the ones that are going to get you a lot of traffic, and you're not at the very top of the search listings, we're going to talk about how important it is to be, at least number 5 and up, but really the first, second, and third position is where pretty much all the traffic is going to. These are great opportunities to spend time building out custom pages around a particular keyword term on your own website, and then linking to that page from many different areas of the website so that you can actually rank better for some of these keywords. Great way to add new great content to the site, and a great way to increase your rankings. So if you're not spending time adding a couple custom pages a month, if you've got that in-house person who gets SEO and can write, this is a great way to really help improve your rankings. Newsletters. This is another form of awesome content that, depending upon what company you're working with to write this content, it might be repurposed content, which is not going to work for you. But if you have newsletters with fresh content that's being written, that content probably resides on a server that's being sent out and it's being hosted somewhere other than your website, and it's not getting any SEO value whatsoever. Let's get that content on your website, and then you can actually have it hosted from there when the newsletter's sent out, when they click on a button that says, if you can't read this email, click here to see the HTML version. Let's have that HTML version on your site. Again, it's another way, it's content, time, and money that we're spending, and there's a few companies out there that do provide newsletters. 3Birds is one of them. You can get actually fresh content that is not duplicate content, and it can also have a big impact. All right, so we touched on reviews a little bit, but reviews are, again, critical. Not only are people driving 15 to 30 miles further just to work with a dealer that has great reviews, but again, the content within these reviews actually will help your Places page rank better. So again, if you don't have a solid SEO strategy, reputation management strategy in place, it really is going to continue to become more and more important as we move forward. All right, I know I'm going really quickly here, but let's touch on structured data. So Google has a kind of looking at a new level of data that they're looking for on your websites that is called structured data. And essentially what that is it's similar to metadata that we have on our site, where we've got the title, and then we have the content within the title that's in there, then your keywords and your description and so on and so forth. But structured data is something where Google, Yahoo, and Bing came together, I think it was in 2011 or 2012, and they agreed on a universal format for structured data and how it needs to be written on the site, and it's all described through schema.org. So if you go there and you can check it out, most website providers are not using this on the sites yet, and it's something that will help you rank better. There's a bunch of data that you can actually pass to Google that can actually show up within the search listings prior to someone even getting to your site. So you can tell information about where you're located, your dealership name, your logo, your address, your phone number, your email. You can include information about reviews, the ratings that you have on your vehicles you can actually pass to Google. You can pass product data, you can pass event data. There's a bunch of other things that can be passed actually to Google, so you have a chance of it showing up. But what's great about structured data is that reports are showing that if you have this data on your website, and I'm going to show you a tool that you can use to check to see if it is on your website, that you actually will rank better, and if the structured data is being used in the search results, it actually has a much higher click-through percentage. And we're going to talk about that in a second here. So here's an example of a vehicle details page here, and you've got reviews from DealerRater in this one section here, or whatever types of reviews that you want. But if you use structured data properly, not only is having reviews on this page going to actually help your overall conversion rate of that page because it builds trust, the consumers, feels more comfortable in working for you, that zero moment of truth when they're considering giving up their contact information. So there are many benefits for it, but if you do it and it's set up properly, you have the opportunity to rank like this, where when someone conducts a search for you, there you're showing up on the particular vehicle of interest, and now you've got that rating showing up there because that's that rich snippet that's being passed to Google. So imagine if you see 3 or 4 different listings here, and one of them has that there, it's going to make you more likely to click on that one. And in fact, they're saying about a 30% lift in CTR when it's in there. So structured data is a newer thing that, well, really not that new, but most people aren't using it, and something that you can check with your website provider to see if they have plans of doing. There's also a new way where you can actually, through webmaster tools, even without working with your website provider, you can actually use what's called the Google Highlighter tool, which we'll talk about in a second. So rel author. For those of you that have a blog, this is, in my opinion, a must-do. It's going to help you rank better. It's going to help your posts have better CTR. It's going to help overall getting more organic traffic due to setting up rel author. But what it is Google's author program, essentially. And what it does is it allows Google to establish a connection between an author and a website and unique content. So when that content's written, again, it's one of those things that helps build authority in that brand, in that person, in that name. And the funny thing is most tech sites aren't even using this yet. Oddly enough, for whatever reason, it's not the easiest thing to set up. I think I read a report recently that of all sites that do think they have it set up, 80 or 85% of them are actually not set up properly. And now within Webmaster Tools, again, there's a tool there that allows you to see if it is set up and if it's set up properly. So this is something I highly, highly recommend getting set up. Again, if you do searches and you see you got a certain person's face there who's a trusted resource or someone that you know, and you've got all this additional information there, again, your CTR goes up, Google favors people that are using this, and you actually rank better because of it. So real quick, social signals. I know some of us have jumped into social media head first. We're expecting so much from it, and maybe we didn't get the return that we wanted, and maybe some of us have pulled out, or we're just kind of just going along lazily about it. This is extremely important. And the reason why it's so important is because these, again, are the signals that we give Google about how reputable we are, how many people are talking about us, how many people are liking us online. This is one of those ways that, again, builds that trust and builds our credibility. And it's something that's really, really important and is greatly impacting search and your actual listing. So, imagine if you conduct a particular search and you see that their search listing appears there and someone that you know and trust has liked this particular dealership or has shared particular content, again, you're going to be more likely to click on that. So here's just an example about structured data in the back end or in Webmaster Tools, where you can actually log in to see all the different details about your site within Google's Webmaster Tools. And you'll see that structured data is actually listed under optimization. Google is telling us that this is important for SEO, an important thing to do. And if you click under optimization, you'll notice that under that area there's a piece here that's highlighted for structured data. You can click on that, and that will actually take you to a screen that's going to show you if structured data is on your website, and it'll show you whatever types of errors you have, how many different pages you have it on. So again, this is something I'd recommend to jump into and take a look at. All right, so Google's Highlighter tool. This is another thing that if you log into Webmaster Tools, you can view. This actually allows you to pull up your website within their tool, and there's a video there that'll explain it all to you. But it allows you to log in to Webmaster Tools, look at the pages on your website, and establish patterns based on content that's there that you can actually highlight, and that's how you pass this structured data to Google. So if you're looking at a particular page and you want to pass through product data, you can highlight where your year, make, model is listed on the site in that content, and then Google will say, okay, well, here's where it's listed in the HTML. Let me run a query to see what other pages on the platform have this same layout, have the same content there, so then that's the way that they can actually pass that structured data without actually having to go through your website provider. So definitely something to look at is Google's Highlighter tool, and you can find more details about it in there as well. All right, so we talked about Yext a little bit already. Again, it's an online resource that allows you to set up a bunch of citations very quickly. And it's great for dealer groups too, because you can actually manage everything from one account, and it will show you all the different sites that you currently have citations on. It'll also normalize the data, so if stuff is incorrect in one place, correct in another, it can actually help you address some of those issues, and then also get it set up through all the other ones that you don't have. Majestic SEO is another tool that I recommend. It's a backlink tool. It allows you to do a little bit of competitive research. So, if you've got a couple dealers that you're competing with, you want to rank better than them, you can't figure out why, you feel like you got your content right, you've got new awesome content being added on a consistent basis, and everything seems to be right, it might be because they've got a ton more authoritative inbound links from you. To them that you don't. So using a tool like this will allow you to see who's linking to your competition, who's linking to you, and then also evaluate those links that are being linked to your competition, because if some of them are worthy ones, they're ones that you want to go after and get them to link to you as well and help your overall ranking. Scrapebox. This is a little bit of a difficult tool to use, but there's some resources about it online. Just go to YouTube, search for a Scrapebox tutorial. This is a great tool that I love because it's one of the real difficulties in trying to figure out who you should go after to try and build inbound links to your website and finding reputable companies is just the whole search process. And this tool allows you to, by entering a subset of keywords and location-based information, to find sites that would be suitable for going after. And this is part of the real issue with link building, why it's so expensive when you do it with a third-party company that probably isn't really doing it well for you in the first place, but it's because it takes so much time. SEO Moz, they've got a bunch of awesome tools. This is one that's great that allows you essentially to do a particular page, a report card for a page. So you could go to a particular page on your site and you're like, why don't my vehicles rank so well? My VDPs. Well, let me see. Let me go there and go to this page. You enter the, that particular URL, and then it's going to tell you, well, okay, here's the keyword that you want this page to rank well for, and you're getting an F right now. Why are you getting an F? Well, let's see. It's not in the title. It is in the URL. It's not in the description. You have no H1 tags around this, no H2, H4s. It's not in the body. It's not in bold or strong in it. You don't have an image alt on the page, or I guess in this case you do. But it shows you all that data and gives you recommended practices so you can go and help optimize these different pages on your site. It makes it really easy to do. And it's got a bunch of other tools as well, but something, again, I would recommend taking a look at. Okay, 4 more minutes. All right, couple last minute things. So one of the things that I highly recommend doing is creating for any of your SEOs or people that you have responsible for your strategy, finding a list of what you would consider your top 50 most important keyword terms. And then keeping on top of what those rankings are. If you've got anything on the first page of Google that's not in the first or second place position, these are all your opportunities, especially for your money keyword terms. There's a huge difference between how many clicks you get in the 5th place or in the 1st place. And that's a great place to focus some of your time on. In both Google's Webmaster Tools and also within Google Analytics, there's a way that you can see most of you can't actually adjust any of this data, but you can, through their automatic system, it's going to show you a bunch of different keywords that they believe your site is about and how they're currently ranking, what the CTR is, so on and so forth. So if you log in, it's going to break down this data. I don't know if you can see this, but it's got a bunch of keywords listed here. It'll show you total impressions from all these different keywords that you're getting, how many total clicks, and then your average position in Google, and what the CTR has been every time that actually comes up. So it's things that you can use to optimize around. There are also some third-party tools out there. Google continues to make it harder and harder for some of these third-party tools to be able to give you accurate data. But it's a great place to really focus some time to understand where you're at, where does the opportunity lie, and then write content around those opportunities to improve your ranking or build links around it. And here's why it's so important. This is a study done, I think like 6 months ago roughly, and it kind of breaks down, again, how important it is to be number one. It breaks down the difference between organic and paid listings, so 85% being organic, so there's a huge quantity out there. But then if you're in 5th place, you're only getting 4% of the total clicks for that particular keyword. Whereas if you jump into 1st place from 5th, and usually, you would think for 5th place, I'm not doing that bad, that's pretty good. It's, it's on the first page at least, it's halfway up the page, it's before the fold. But even that 5th place listing, you're barely getting anything compared to 1st place. It's a 13-time increase when you go to 1st place. So again, even from second to first, it's 3 times the amount of clicks. So this is why it's so important to stay on top of it. And that pretty much wraps up my presentation. Got a couple minutes left for any questions that anyone has.
What program you using for SEO? I'm using Web SEO, so I don't know.
Web SEO is not bad. There's a bunch of them out there. SEO Moz has a bunch of great stuff. Again, there's, what are some of the other ones that we've used? We've built some stuff in-house that actually allows us to do stuff. So, but there's Bruce Clay's got a bunch of great tools as well. And probably my personal favorite would probably be SEO Moz and one other one, which I don't know why I cannot think of right now. If I think of it, I'll mention it before the end.
You didn't talk much about video. How does that, is it 30
Oh.
seconds or less? What's the
Video is huge. So I actually pulled a slide because I had too many. Video, embedded video on your websites, on third-party sites other than YouTube and all those video hosting sites out there, accounts for 52% of all video views online, which is insane. Because those sites like YouTube have so much video usage actually on the sites. But that being said, video is a big, big part of SEO. And doing video the right way is really important. So if you have video set up on your site in embedded pages, what you want to do is make sure that you have video sitemaps set up for that content. Big thing there with the video sitemaps is if you have it, you're going to have A, a higher chance of getting indexed. B, you're going to have a much higher chance of having video snippets show up, which is video snippets are going to show the picture of the video. It's going to give you some additional details. And statistics are showing that for a particular keyword search, even if the video is in the 5th place listing, so you've got regular listings in 1, 2, 3, and 4, that one video can generate as much as 10 times the amount of clicks than 1, 2, 3, and 4 put together, depending upon the topic. So, I mean, it can be huge. And it's somewhere that really everyone should be focusing on.
Our web provider, I wanted a WordPress blog because I like the plugins for it.
Okay.
So it was edgeschmidt.com/blog. It was like linked back to our website. But they changed it to blog.edgeschmidt.com. So you're saying it's better to be edgeschmidt.com/blog?
Yeah, because when it's blog. It's a separate domain. So what that's doing is it's not increasing the SEO value of your site. All it's getting you is one inbound link from that site. And most likely your blog probably has no authority whatsoever out there because it's not an established domain and it hasn't really done much over time. So that one little link is not really doing much for you. Having that content on your site is important. It might be just because of the difficulty of getting that set up. It's not the easiest thing. We have it done on our platform, but it is possible. You may just need to really push.
Thanks.
All right, thank you so much.